the internet, from robberies to reprisals to road rage. Headless corpses and bodies in bushes, the stuff of gruesome discoveries. A steady diet of death and depravity, leaving many numb. Jamaica known around the world for beaches, bob and bolt, but long-breaking records for its murder rate.
Oh, God!
Among the highest in the world. Politics part of the problem, but politicians incapable of stemming the tide. And 1 year into a global pandemic, COVID only making things worse.
22% of Jamaicans live from hand to mouth, as in they are forced to work every day. So they are in what is called the hustle belt.
Young inner-city males responsible for the crime figures, but themselves victims of food insecurity, poor parenting, unsafe neighborhoods, and little or no education or training.
Not to mention the fact that before COVID, over 40% of males between age 6 and 18 are out of school from inner-city ecologies or inner-city areas. And that's where the core of the violence is coming from. So it's a proper setup for an explosion of violence.
And government's response, the wrong one, according to anthropologist Hubert Gale.
From 1974 until now, the state has not yet learned how to get the right mix between, suppression and reduction, or aggression and social intervention.
To simplify, the state is aggressive and brutal.
Yes, the state is far too aggressive for what is happening. So in normal times, the state's aggression would not have been felt so badly. But let's picture a child who just got flogged by a teacher, who then comes outside and the bully attempts to bother him again. For the first time, the bully is going to get beaten, because he can't take it anymore. At a time when people are so stressed, the kinder the state, the better it helps.
He supports his view with stats that point to lower levels of crime in Trinidad and Belize, other Caribbean territories with high murder rates along with Jamaica, but where higher social interventions have brought crime down, unlike Jamaica where it remains rampant during COVID.
Because for many of these kids, they don't feel government, they don't see the opportunity structures, they don't get the chance to go to school, they feel as if they've been isolated. Now, that state cannot have legitimacy. If you look at the countries where governments are very hands-on and very into young people and so forth, they're going to have more legitimacy, like a mother would have more legitimacy than a father to act. So when they act and use force, people recognize that the force is necessary, but not in our state where we call the state Babylon from childhood. So a lot of the young people are just absolutely upset and feeling hopeless. And that's what's driving this frenzy.
So they go around and they kill people?
Yes. Yes. When a human being becomes primal, he accepts that he's better off being the perpetrator than the victim. And you don't want people to feel that I have a choice between being a perpetrator and a victim. Who has the real power? The perpetrator. I don't want to be the victim. You want people to feel a sense of tomorrow and a sense of hope. Even during COVID, people have been asking me, what are some of the things you would do as a government during COVID, during all of this stress? A prime minister, a minister of health, or somebody coming and saying, we're in this thing together, we're working together, hope is coming, that kind of a message. And repeatedly, not the messages of, here are the details about COVID, wear your mask, and so forth. Yeah, those are great, but you also need the accompanying face. And I've said to other governments, find the face in your parliament that people trust the most, and have this face drive this campaign within young people that it is going to be okay.
And you're not hearing that?
Oh no.
The heavy hand of the state as heavy as ever, but some fighting back. This man grappling with a cop viewed many times on social media.
Don't take us to a point where the average person walking down the road, especially the average male, because this is about males, The average male walks down the road and goes, look, I have no hope, no sense of nobody likes me, right? I'm at that stage. You don't want a large body of your males to get to that point. And too large a number now is getting there. We're not there yet, thank God, but we're saying that you have to begin to get into the heads of people that there's hope. If you can't, one simple word, if you can't make people feel that there's hope, then you're boiling towards this point where if I saw, I saw.
How close are we to a bigger bloodbath in this country? How close are we to a kind of like a, you know, where people just rise up and just start to, I mean, literally slaughter each other in the streets?
Our highest murder rate was 65 per 100,000. We're in the 40s now. The average murder rate for Jamaica 68-2000 is 47.4. Our highest was 65.
When was that?
2005. It's easy to get back there.
But in practical terms, what can the government do right now?
Well, first of all, a softer voice. That is an emergency. That is urgently needed for a trusting face to begin to have a campaign. Everybody likes to campaign. Everybody has budgets to campaign. Do some social marketing and present some hope. Second thing, government needs to sit down and look at this idea of how much it costs to get your boys into school. You cannot have 2 out of 5 boys from an inner city being available for gangs. There's no country that, you can't run a country like that. Remember that 88% of girls at the same age are in school, right? Even in a city. You can't have just 60% for boys. Somebody has to sit down and look at what's the cost of bringing those boys up to girls to close that gap. Once you close that, the murder rate is just going to dwindle away. There's no way you can come and recruit me if everybody in my family tell me, say, Herbs, you're bright, you know, you have a future. You can't recruit me. We found that 17% of the kids who get into gangs recruited themselves, went to the Don and says, I am here, I'm ready. Then nobody came and recruited them. That's frightening.
Frightening music videos, another insight into the violent nature of life in Jamaica.
There are certain people who are doing videos with these weapons of war. Why do you need it? Except to glorify another level of violence, which we then complain about as if we don't love it.
DJs channel what they see, sometimes their own experiences, but some seemingly reveling in the gore. Firing off gun lyrics a rite of passage, especially for newcomers. But at what cost to the rest of us?
I always am of the view that we are the creators, the architects of the society that we want. And we have to decide that if you want to sing about busboy head miggle day, then you might not want to complain when it actually happens in real life.
Failure to stem crime, a pressing issue, and the cops, even the Prime Minister, making noises about violent music, but impossible to police the internet.
I listened a lot of gun tune growing up. It didn't turn me into a gunman. But at the same time, we live in a society that we do identify significant problems, and don't tell me that music doesn't have an impact. It's not the deciding impact, but it has an impact on your mindset, it has an impact on your mood, it has an impact on what you think about and how you think about what you think about. Music can make you want to worship. Music can make you want to make love. Music can make you angry, it can make you happy, it can put you in the mood to do a killer workout in the gym, and music can make you very aggressive too.
JCF communication specialist Dennis Brooks reads the comment section at the end of reports like this one and wants to make clear censorship of violent videos isn't on the table.
Back in the 90s, when I was growing up listening to Bounty Killer in high school, banning any Bounty Killer song was a surefire way to get that song to the top of everybody's mind. I'm not interested in even joining a conversation about banning it. I'm more concerned about why it is we feel it necessary to glorify it, and the conversation that we have nationally about demand and supply. Why is it that there is such an appetite for it that these are people simply supplying a demand?
Because maybe it's a mirror. We are a violent society, and not to register it is not to be accurate in your portrayal of how Jamaica is.
You don't register over 1,000 murders every year for the last 2 decades and not have that as your reality. But do we glorify that reality? Or every time somebody dies in a graphic manner, we feign shock. And then we bust our blanks in celebration of the latest gun tune. It's what we want. It's who we are. Stop pretending that this is not who we are. It's who we are.
Everything I go connect, let me tell you, pipeline.
Some DJs behind bars. Other instances raising worrying questions about the apparent links between criminals and the music business, like the recent killing of Mobe-based DJ Father God. His death leading to what appeared to be a reprisal murder, horrifyingly captured on surveillance camera. 2 more sad statistics as crime continues to spiral out of control.